Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
And Harold Hunt. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, Harold Hunt?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, and welcome everyone to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. I am your host, Mark Roxey, alongside my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt. And we are here tonight, by the grace of God, thank you, Lord. We are here, and we are going to chop up a lot of really, really good and most recent boxing news, including Janibek Alimkhanuly, if I said that correctly. And
I think you did. Good job.
Thank you, man. We're also going to touch on Devin, Hany and his voyage to Australia, Tank Davis and Romero, and we will also chop up Steve Fulton and Daniel Roman, along with the recent bout that just took place this weekend. What a firefight. Interesting outcome between David Benavidez and David Lemieux, the two Davids. So we've got an action-packed show, and delighted that you are with us. If you are tuning in on Apple Podcasts, thank you for being with us. Thank you for including us in your drive, or however you're listening to your podcasts, why ever you're listening to your podcast. And we'd like to thank you if you're following us on YouTube, if you're checking us out. Please make sure to smash that like button right down below. Hit the notifications, etc., etc., etc. You know the drill. And let's get into it, Mr. Harold Hunt. Let's chop up Janibek. We're just going to call him Janibek because that last name is not easy to say. It's Alimkhanuly. But we'll just call him Janibek for right now. This kid is on fire. Harold.
He flew under the radar for me.
Okay.
I knew who he was, just briefly the name. And I didn't really get any breakdown on why he was good or why he wasn't good or you know what his thing was. I just knew that he didn't really get, too much attention.
Right.
And the people who are deeper in boxing than I am, they really were liking him quite a bit. And I had to figure out who he was and what he was. Anytime you can headline an ESPN card and the mainstream boxing gurus or pundits or people who follow it who don't know who he is, it's pretty refreshing. Because you're like, well, who is this guy? How come he's headlining an ESPN card? And guess what, Mark? I saw why. I read a lot of information on who ducked him so far and his style and who's training him and who his manager is training.
Right.
He's top notch. His manager trains the heavyweight champion of the world. His manager, as in who has the belts, all the belts right now. And he trains Triple G. He's a manager of Triple G. His trainer is Buddy McGirt.
No, he's trained by Buddy McGirt.
Yes.
Wow.
And he has ducked 2 qualified people already, have ran from this guy.
Really?
Yes. And the names are going to be something surprising to you that they ducked him this early. Now,
do tell.
I'm thinking it's because that he can't necessarily make money for them right now. That's what I'm thinking. But obviously, there's a little more to it.
Right.
The people that have ducked him that were champions were Jamie Munguia and Boo Boo. They both outwardly ducked his fight
No way.
because they felt like they may have opportunity to lose. And when you lose someone who does not have any cachet to sell tickets, it's a risky thing. You want to fight walkovers. This guy's not a walkover, and he proved it on ESPN on the night. Did you see the fight, Mark?
I did see the fight. So first of all,
Tell me what you saw.
Well, I'll tell you. Let's back up a second, first of all, just for the listeners, so that everybody's on the same page. We're all following the same story here, right? This guy, Janibek, I'm spelling it with a J. It's actually spelled with a Z. So, I'm going to go in there and correct that in a second. But it's Janibek Alimkhanuly, right? And he's 12-0 with eight wins coming by way of KO. The guy's got a 6.66. Oh, that's really scary. Aaron. He's got a 6.66 knockout ratio, bro. I think someone should just let him knock him out so that that's not the number. Because if I was fighting him and he had a 6.66 knockout ratio, I don't know, man. I don't know. It might creep me out a little, right? And you know how many rounds he's done?
Tell me.
67, 66.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. Like if you look at his player stats, you would get kind of creeped out. Like it's actually a little creepy. And so let's talk about his boxing though. Well, first of all, his nationality, he's from Kazakhstan. So yeah, Harold, he comes from the same, he's cut from the same cloth as Gennady Golovkin. And fortunately, he's being trained currently by Buddy McGirt, who actually I believe is rocking out of California right now. But Buddy, is from New York. Spent a lot of time with him at Gleason's. I know, and I have seen him work, and he's an amazing guy, really, really amazing guy, great trainer, and Janibek is in good hands. And what's interesting about him is that his style is similar, very similar to Golovkin, very similar.
Very true, very true. But he resents the fact that Golovkin says he has a Mexican style, that Golovkin has a Mexican style. He trumpets the Kazakhstan style.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be associated with Triple G as in, I have a Mexican style. I have a Kazakh, a native country style.
Well, come on.
That's what he hangs his hat on.
Yeah.
So that's what he says publicly. He's not being negative. It's just that that's not what he's going to say. I'm not a Mexican style fighter from this region. I fight as this region, dictates.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you are out there listening in on the Boxing Breakdown, please leave your comments, join in on the chat. We'd love to hear from you. This was a last minute post. So we didn't really give that much time for folks to know that we were going to go live. But here we are live, and if you missed it, you missed it. You got the notification. If you hit the notifications, you got the notifications. So join us. And man, like Harold, I understand that. This guy, Janibek, is tried and true Kazakhstan. He's a Kazakhstanese, I guess is how you would say that. I don't know. But, he's tried and true. And, I heard him, I have to say, he's quite a gentleman because he was asked in a interview that, he's like, so what do you think about facing Triple G? What do you think about fighting Triple G? And
wow, I didn't hear that.
He ducked it. He ducked the comment. He ducked it. He kind of moved away from it, saying that, first of all, we don't treat our elders like that. We give our elders a lot of respect in Kazakhstan. We treat our elders a certain way. And so no. And he just kind of ducked the comment like, I'm not gonna do that. That's my Kazakhstanese brother, and so I thought that was very interesting, and I kind of went away from that thinking, this guy's a gentleman. He's a true gentleman. His English is really not that good, but he's certainly a talent to be reckoned with. He hasn't really fought anybody, that I would, jump off the page going, oh my God, this guy is a serious fighter. I mean, he has one fight in Oakland. He fought in 2018, in September of 2018, at the Oracle Arena in Oakland. He fought in El Paso. So he had most of his fights here. Most of his pro fights have been out west. He fought in the bubble. Lucky him. He fought in the bubble at the MGM Grand, 2020. Yeah, man. So he's fought the Mandalay Bay. But he hasn't really fought anyone. But I will tell you, the last fight that he had against Dani Dignam.
This past weekend.
Yeah,
yes.
he dug them right into the ground.
That's good.
Yeah, man, he definitely digged them right into the ground, and that was at the Resorts World in Las Vegas. Really, just in May 21st. So that was last weekend. I KO'd him. He's got a lot of KOs on his record, as I said. He's got a 6.66 KO ratio. Oh boy, 666, yep. Right? What do you think of that?
His
Harold?
style, though, is eye opening. He does have a good style. He comes in behind the jab. He fights on his toughest toes. I mean, he's quickly in, quickly out. He's powerful. He's smart. Oh, good sound effect there.
Yeah, man.
He's just a pretty good fighter.
Yeah.
Now, of course, as you said, he hasn't fought anyone of note, so therefore he's not really going to be on the radar. But those of us who know what a fighter looks like and how he can be developed, and what the upside could be, he definitely has all of that for sure.
No doubt.
And being from the region he's from, following Triple G, being in a situation where his upbringing financially or whatever wasn't as it is in America for, the fighters, even though they have their own strife. He's more going to be focused just because that's his only way out. And he just happens to have, a great manager behind him, and he got a good trainer.
Well,
and as you say, he's young.
Yeah, not only is he young, Harold, just to go back to your comment, because I heard what you said. He's, for the WBA, he's actually ranked number 7. So he's up there in the rankings, number 7. He's ranked number 8 by BoxRec in the world. He's ranked number 7 by the WBA. He's also showing up in the rankings on the WBO. So the WBO has him ranked at, guess what? Number 2. Right behind Jamie Munguia and Demetrius Andre. So, he's in pole position there at the WBO. As far as the WBC is concerned, they have not ranked him at all. Jamie Munguia is ranked number 2 by the WBO. My boy Carlos Adame is ranked number 1, man, by the WBC. So that's congratulations, Carlos. That is a great accomplishment. He's been at it. He's a really wonderful talent, and I had the pleasure of being in a ring with him and know him very well. So he's a great guy, and he's been at it, chopping away. He's at number 5. Carlos Adame is at number 5 for the WBO, right below Janibek. So it is very, very possible that they might meet. There's some good energy there in the 160 pound middleweight division. So I'd be very, very interested to see how these guys all lock horns. You know, I mean, Jamie Munguia is there, Chris Eubank Jr. is there, Ryota Muriata is there. So yeah, Sergey Devonchenko is still floating in there. Carlos Adame is in there. Sergio Martinez. How's Sergio Martinez? Is he back? What is he doing? He's ranked number 3.
Well, he came back 3-4 months ago. He had a fight and he was successful, and his name carried a lot of clout. But I want to say to our listeners, go back and watch that fight on ESPN, and then go back and watch his last 3 fights.
Right.
So you have a reference point to what we're talking about, because he was completely on the radar for me. And now that I've seen him, I understand what the hype is about.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, just go back, watch any highlights or a full fight, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Right.
And you may or may not be excited about him, but he has good defense, good offense. He doesn't have any bad habits that I can see right now. He really hasn't been hit, which is, the watershed for every fighter that we talk about.
Right.
From here and till then, but he still hasn't done that. So please go back, take a look at that fight, and draw your own assessment.
Yeah, Harold, good advice. Definitely, go back there, take a look, and then, of course, leave your comments below, or hit us on Apple Podcasts. Put your comments down there too, and please don't forget to give us a review if you like what you're listening to here on the Boxing Breakdown. Do give us a review. A positive one. We would love that. And Harold, I know we weren't really going to get into this. We talked about this a little bit offline, about the recent Ortiz defeat against Herring. I wondered if you wanted to just touch a little bit on Herring there.
I think he came back a little too quick. He was kind of hurt by the loss. The public wasn't necessarily kind to him, neither was the media. He didn't really heal mentally, in my opinion. He scrubbed his whole camp. He went to a whole nother trainer. Everything, he changed everything, but he came back too soon. I would have said with that new trainer, the new thought process, new attitude, at least 6 months or so, just to kind of heal mentally and get himself acclimated to his new people.
Right.
He jumped right in with them, and he just had the Stevenson fight, 4 months ago, 6 months ago? And here he is back in here with someone who's just as hungry, who's just as young.
For sure.
And he's still in a situation where, he's just trying to rebound from that. Now, maybe physically he recovered, but mentally he just did not. And that can cause an early retirement when you don't really need to do that, because he wasn't beaten badly. Well, he was beaten, but Shakur is just a talent. He's a really great talent who's just coming into his own.
Next level.
So he really has a shot to continue to fight, to be productive, and even maybe knock on the door again. But this loss to someone who really doesn't have any pop, who really doesn't have any cachet, as far as selling tickets and that type of thing,
right,
so soon is just, the two losses just roll into each other. And for my opinion, I necessarily wouldn't have fought so quickly.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I really do. And, it happens. It's boxing for sure. Oh man, there's so much. Look, Harold, there is so much that I want to talk about tonight. There's so much coming off the wire. I mean, you heard that the Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez fight is happening, right?
Yes.
Scheduled for September. So that's something we're going to hit that. Check back on our next podcast, because we're definitely going to chop that up, Harold. I really want to get into that. This is fight number 3. It's huge. It's a big deal. And I'm glad that Canelo made that. What are your feelings about that? He has
the opportunity to kind of save face somewhat. As I said before, he wasn't hurt in the fight at all with the bigger guy. So that's not an issue. He wasn't rocked. He wasn't moved. He wasn't knocked. He just couldn't be effective. He's coming back down to someone who he knows can't hurt him. He can't be hurt by this guy now.
Right.
He's somewhat older, if that means anything, it may not. And Canelo's got a lot to prove. A lot to prove.
He really does.
Although Canelo did get a pass for losing because he's still the darling of boxing.
Yeah.
He still got, overall, he got a pass, but he still has to come back and really look impressive. And I think he's going to have an opportunity to do that because a win against Golovkin impressively will make sure that everything goes back to where it's supposed to be for him as far as him being, the man.
Right. Well, he still got all 4 belts at 168, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, Saul Canelo Alvarez is, for all intent and purposes, the man. And, the loss up at the higher weight is not,
it's forgivable.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
you understand nothing ventured, nothing gained. And certainly he, dared to be great out of his weight. And he showed up a little late.
Mindset. I don't take that mindset. I'm not giving him the pass. He went up there, he lost.
Talk to me. Tell me.
So since he lost, he has to take the consequences of losing. But the public is so enamored, they're going to let him have that. The judges over his tenure, when he was coming up, they kind of gave some stuff to him sometimes also, so it's okay. Not gave him, but they saw what they needed to see and he still won. So this situation to me, he has to redeem himself somewhat. Yes, he's the king at 168. He obviously mentally, no one's going to be able to hurt him because he took that man's power easily. He wasn't hurt. He just said, man, I can't get to him like I need to get to him. So he got caught with a bunch of catch and shoots. Yeah. I mean, same thing Floyd was doing to him. Our boy Bivol was catching and shooting. Right. So, I mean, that's kind of a blueprint for him, but Triple D doesn't do that. Benavidez doesn't do that. So he's going to he has to look really good this time. And I really believe he will. I mean, his motivation is going to be just through the roof just because, of what happened.
Yeah, no, point well taken, man. So let's flip the script here a little bit and let's go into Devin Hany. We got a lot to talk about with Devin.
Mr. Hany, the whole entourage went to the airport to get to Australia in plenty of time to get acclimated, get used to the food, and when you flush the toilet, the water goes the other way, all that stuff.
Right.
They went to Australia to get that, to get acknowledge that. But his father and a couple other of his entourage was stopped at the airport because the father had a situation that happened 7 years before Devin was born, and it dealt in pharmaceuticals, street pharmaceuticals, if you will, and he's unable. Australia will not take someone who has been through that type of thing, if you will, just to be kind about it. Yeah. Another gentleman was there. He had something that he had done previously, and they didn't allow him. So Devin went over there. However, his trainer over there is Zab Judah's father, Yoel Judah,
right?
Who is Joel, who was quite a great. He understands the situation. He had a son who was a world champion. He's been in a situation where the entire world is against his son, so he's able to understand that dynamic, and he's going to be able to help him get through that. But Mark, as you know, the fight is won in the gym, and we know Hany and his father put together a lot of different stuff. I got to give my Hany story. When he was here and he was fighting, he was like maybe 14-0. I judged one of his fights in Atlanta. And the father came to me after the fight, said, please take my number, give me a call, and tell me what my son can do better. Now, I am an absolute nobody. I'm just a dude in Atlanta who's judging the fight. And he came to me and asked me to call him, gave me his number.
Right.
And I was honored. So I watched the fight. I watched the fight over again. I judged the fight, but I watched the fight several times, and I called him and we talked. And then I called him again a couple weeks later. We talked more. He answered my phone every time. This is when Devin was coming up. And his entire premise is he wants to know what people think, how he can improve his son. Even someone on such a level that I was at that time,
right?
He actually listened to what I had to say. I say this to say that he is sure, I am sure that Devin has covered a lot of different ground, not just from people who are in the industry, who are prominent, but every little thing he can pick up, he wants to do that. Because I went to the referee from Atlanta, asked him what he thought, and I took that information and passed it on also. So I understand, and I believe that even though he's in Australia, he knows what to do with or without his father being there. He's been trained mentally to be prepared.
Right. Well, listen, let's just shed some light on this situation. Devin is not with his head trainer. His head trainer will not be in Australia with him. That is, I don't personally like that. I think it's somewhat of a concern. I'm sure the team has figured out how to manage through that. I know that Zab's father is Devin Haney's godfather, I believe, is the relationship there. So they've got a little bit of a deeper bond and deeper relationship. And I'm sure Devin's father is sharing, how things should go and what should be happening at the fight, since he's not going to be able to enter into the country due to his, his criminal record, his past criminal record. And I think that it's a real issue, man. It's serious. It's a serious thing. I mean, Devin Haney has gone on the record to say that he's not worried about being robbed. I'm certainly worried about it. It's one of the first things that came to my mind is, oh my God, is it possible that they're going to rob him when he's over there in Australia? It wouldn't be the first time, and it certainly won't be the last time if it does happen. But, it was something that initially came up for me. And, Devin Haney is fairly going on the record confident, saying that he's going to be facing a unified champion in George Kambosos Jr. on June 4th at the Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, Australia. And, Haney's 27-0 with 15 KOs. And he's really pretty confident that he's going to make this a one-sided fight. He's gone on the record as saying so. And it's not going to be easy. They're going to be in front of 50, 60, who knows, 50, 60,000 Australian fans cheering on, Kambosos. And it's going to be a tough situation. But if anyone can pull it off, it's going to be Devin Haney. If anybody can pull it off, it's going to be Devin Haney. And if he pulls this off in Australia with 50,000 screaming fans for Kambosos in a country without his head trainer, there's no stopping that kid. That's my feeling.
I agree with that. I believe he has to make it so one-sided round after round after round, the public consciousness will force the judges and the people to see he is truly losing. Just a quick little anecdote, the civil rights movement, all that stuff was happening when the media started showing what was happening across the cities. That's when the public sentiment started. That's when everyone said, well, this is wrong. We have to change this. It had been going on for years before, but the media just wasn't to the point where they could broadcast it worldwide. Right. So this is a situation where he's fighting, and it'll be worldwide. The entire world will be watching. And if it even remotely looks like he is home cooking, it will be a serious slap in the face to Australia, because in the future, they will have no accreditation to have any of their fighters to do anything. They understand they will be robbed and this type of thing. I believe Devin is such a clean puncher. If I'm a judge sitting there, he strikes so cleanly. There's no way you can say he didn't hit him. There's no way you can say he did not hit him because he gets out the way.
Right.
It's going to be very clinical and very clean. It may not be a knockout, but he's going to be touching him. So even the common, the average fan, one who just tunes in just because it's a spectacle, will say, I know who won that round. And when you get to that level of understanding, a basic person who doesn't really know how it works, doesn't know, but they know who wins.
Right.
They know who won the round. When you watch the bully fight the boy in the schoolyard when you're in third grade, you know who won the fight. And that's just human instinct. I think it'd be clean enough for that to be seen.
Right. Wow. Good breakdown, Harold. I really appreciate that. And, Devin Hany, WBC lightweight champion, right? He's on his 5th title defense. Is that correct? I think it's
Yes.
maybe 5 title defenses. And, thus far, he's beaten everybody they put in front of him. So, a lot could be said for this fight. I certainly am nervous about it, as anybody would be. But, all I can say is Devin Hany.
I'm not even worried. I'm not even worried. I'm not.
You're not.
And the reason, because it's going to be so clean, Mark. It's going to be clinical in there.
Well,
he's not going to go for the knockout. He doesn't have to. He's just going to he'll be scoring so easily.
Yeah. Well,
and not being hit that they can't even say that it's close.
Right. Well, time will tell if you are correct, Mr. Harold Hunt. I mean, I certainly can see that perspective. I think that the one thing that George Kambosos Jr. has shown us is that he can do the unthinkable, because when he, was able to gain the titles by beating Teofimo Lopez, who, by the way, beat one of the people who I consider one of the best fighters in the division, Vasily Lomachenko, it says a lot. That says a lot. If you go back and you look at that, George Kambosos is hungry. He's in his home country. He's comfortable. He's ready to go. He doesn't have the long flights. He has his trainers with him. There's a lot of things here, Harold, that we have to just wait and see. So I remain skeptical about it.
As you should.
Yeah, but we will see what happens. If you're, for those of you that are listening in, let us know how you feel. Let us know if you think that Devin Hany is going to get robbed. You let us know if you think George Kambosos is going to lose. What do you think will happen in this fight? That's it. That's all I got to say about that. So let's move on. Let's move on to Tank Davis and Rolly Romero. Whoa. These two are just two firecrackers, verbally smashing one another in the mouth.
I got to give it to Rolly. He's making it. He's somewhat talking about things that are similar, but Rolly hasn't stood in a situation where he could be killed. I mean, his neighborhood, they used to shoot around there, and, he did little things. I mean, not little things. He did some things, I believe, that were threatening to his life, on the peripheral, whereas Tank was right there. I'm talking about he could have been killed. He was being aggressive, or he was being sought after to harm. The understanding of just trying to stay alive in the streets is a discipline that Tank definitely has experienced. Rolly, I wouldn't necessarily say that, because Rolly had his parents, his mother, and his father in his house. Rolly just recently moved out of his parents' house 3 years ago.
I'm not mad at him for that. I'm not mad at him for that. What I'm saying is, he still had the luxury and the understanding and the safety of his parents, which is a beautiful thing.
However, when he's saying that, he's this way, he's that way, and he's discounting how his Tank came up, the mindset, that you just can't throw that off. And as you look at the press conferences, the posturing and all of this and all the back and forth, you can just see the street mentality and the realness that Tank brings just by standing there next to a guy who undoubtedly has the talk and he has the posture and all that, but I don't really see him actually being able to harness that upbringing into his fighting. And he has a fundamental flaw to me, boxing wise. He throws his punches wide and he is slow.
Right.
He's very slow. He may be powerful, but Floyd fought powerful people. So many other people have fought powerful people and never got touched the whole fight and just destroyed them, because it's not about the power. It's about if you can deliver the power, land the power. And I don't see him doing this. I see this as a walk over, but it is entertaining right now.
Right. No, I mean, it's entertaining, just to get deep into this saga, if you will. Romero is the bigger fighter, Harold. I mean, what do you think about that? He's just a bigger, he's a much, much bigger fighter.
I don't believe his weight, his height, his largeness will play a factor, because he won't be able to get his power to Tank, because he doesn't have a jab. He shoots wide punches.
Right.
He's slow. His footing is not great. He doesn't have anything that I think would threaten Tank at all. Tank's not going to be letting him hit his arms, or he's not going to be letting him bully him around. Tank's going to be in and out. And then when he gets him hurt, he's going to get close and he's going to put him out. Right. I mean, he's really going to put him out. But people don't realize that Tank is not going to go in there angry. He's not going to go in angry. He's been fighting too long to be angry. He understands that I have to be calm and even, and I'll get my opportunity. Whereas Rolly is going to have this animosity.
So anyway, where were we?
We were just talking about Tank has an opportunity not to be angry and to use it as his opportunity to do really well. And I think Rolly's going to come in there with a little attitude, a little chip on the shoulder. And when he does do well, he's going to get out of it because he's going to be angry and he's going to try to be overbearing. And this is a pay-per-view thing. This is the largeness of the moment may be overwhelming, but I just don't see his skill set. Even if they were in the bubble somewhere, prevailing over Tank at all. No way.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I just, we're talking about Rolly here, and I just think he's a big fighter, and he's a very, very powerful fighter. I think that Tank Davis has a lot to be concerned about in this particular fight. And
do you?
Yeah, I do. I think he can get caught with a shot, from the bigger fighter, and who knows,
I would have that same concern if Rolly delivers his power straight down the pike. He does not do that. It's wide open. I can see it coming.
He's such an awkward fighter, Harold. He is so awkward. That's why he's been able to do what he's been able to do in the sport up until this point,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just an awkward fighter.
So his delivery is so awkward that it can be a problem just because it's not coming at the frequency of a trained boxer, in a sense, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think it's just it's not coming in the way that you typically would think it's going to come. I mean, I'm sure these guys have locked horns in sparring,
So that's the whole issue. They never did.
Oh,
Tank,
really?
Always, yes. That's the whole shit. He was supposed to spar him several times. Tank didn't do this, that, and the other. And it didn't happen. They never sparred. And, that kind of thing. And just there really hasn't been. They've never been in the ring together. So you really, I don't know where that came from. It's just that I just see what I see, but I understand what you see, and your understanding definitely eclipses mine because you're a trainer and you've been there, you've done that. So I must understand and grasp that. Just from my side of it, that's just what I see. But I have to, take into account what you're saying, of course, and see it a little differently. I'm just thinking that Tank tends to go straight down the pike, and once he hurts you, I looked at Rolly's older fights. There was no one there who was throwing a jab. No one then was stepping in on him. No one was forcing him to cover up. So he hasn't had anyone come to him to try to apply anything to him. So we don't know if he can do that. I didn't see any defensive skill really. I didn't see that.
Right.
I didn't see any catch and shoots. I didn't see any of that from him. So we know Tank has good defense. We know Tank can box.
Right.
He fought his entire last fight with one arm.
Yeah.
And he didn't get hit. When he did get hit, he moved with the punch. He was still effective. He still won rounds with one arm.
Right. Yeah.
That was impressive.
It is impressive. At the end of the day, Rolly is 14-0 with 12 KOs. So, he's got something. And Tank Davis has got the same something because he's 26-0 with 24 KOs. So everybody's going to sleep with both of these guys. So you have to know, this is a real fight. It's a real fight. Both of them are KO artists. And, they have a very, very bad disdain for each other. And, Rolly is the bigger fighter.
Harness that. Tank is not going to go in there angry.
Right.
He is not. He's not going to try to get back for what you said about me or the posture you took about me. He's going to go in there clinically and going to be controlled mentally, and he's going to win the fight. Right. I don't think Rolly has that capability to do that. I just look at Rolly's trainer. His trainer is acting as emotional as his fighter.
Yeah.
He's not even acting as a calming force. He's riding that wave of emotion just like his fighter. So they're both going to be emotional. They're both not going to be fact driven. They're both just going to be just hanging out there emotionally. The big moment may get to them.
Right. Well, he's crapping up the place for sure. He's talking about, you just saw what happened to Canelo, right? So he's saying that's what's going to happen to Tank Davis, and, he talks about Devin Hany as well and says that he feels that Devin Hany is a horrible fighter, terrible fighter. And he thinks he's very chinny, that Devin Haney's very chinny. He's an inferior fighter to anyone in the division. He hopes that Cambosos knocks him out. So, he's definitely running his mouth about, what he believes is the way things should go. So it's really interesting. It's going to be fireworks. That fight is going to be fireworks.
I got something for our listeners.
Yeah.
Go back and look at a Rolly fight.
Right.
And look for yourself and see how many times he comes behind the jab. See how many times he throws the wide punches. See how many times his feet are just in stone, Rolly.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then turn right around and watch a Tank fight directly after it.
Right.
And then you'll see the difference. You'll see how those two will match up just in your mind. And maybe you'll see my point. However, you may see Mark's point also. The awkwardness can be affected.
Well, and I'm not suggesting that Tank Davis is going to lose the fight. Actually, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that in the recent weeks, we've seen a lot of things go horribly wrong for really skilled, talented fighters, right? So all I'm suggesting is that we have to keep our eyes open and really pay attention to what's happening here, because you cannot think for a second that Rolly couldn't take Tank Davis out. Gervonta Davis can go to sleep if he gets caught with a shot. Okay? Anybody at this level could get taken out. So all I'm doing is, making those odds bettors and those guys out there that are unsure about who to bet on just a little more confused. So I'm simply saying, the fight could go either way, right? And it's going to be a great fight. The folks at Showtime, certainly PBC guys, you guys can certainly cut us a check. We would love to get a check from you because we do a really good job at promoting the fights, and I think you'll all agree on that. So if you'd like to send a check, please do. Otherwise, I know if you just get us front row at Press Row, we'll be very happy with that as well. But anyway, let's move on. Let's take it to Steve Fulton and Daniel Roman. That fight is coming up, Harold.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, man. It's coming up.
Well, Mr. Fulton has a great skill set. He can fight on the inside very well.
Right.
He defends well on the inside, and he can fight on the outside. But what impresses me more about him is his will to take what you do and do it better.
Right.
And he's shown that his entire career. And he has a good chin, great defense.
Yeah.
And I've never seen him wobble. I've never seen him push back unless he wanted to be pushed back. He'll stand there and fight your fight and beat you at it.
Yeah.
Now, that's the kind of fighter I love to judge, only because you can actually see him saying, this is what you do well. I've got to do it better.
Right.
And he does that. So he's one of those people that does that. Now, as far as Dani's concerned, I see Dan as a powerful fighter. I have never seen him push back or whatever. So when you're coming forward like that and you're in your wheelhouse, but the fighter that you're fighting is just as good at that discipline as you are, and he can box, and he can move, that's something.
Yeah. Well, Harold, this fight is going to be taking place, for those of you listening in. This is a Premier Boxing Champions event. It will be shown on Showtime Championship Boxing. If you go, you can go to I guess it's at the Armory, and you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. This is Fulton versus Roman, Showtime, June 4th at 9 p.m. And yeah, man, it's a unified WBC and WBO Super Bantamweight World Championship between Steve Fulton Jr. and he'll battle former unified champion Daniel Roman in a matchup between two of the sport's most consistently crowd-pleasing fighters. It's a headlining event. It's on Showtime again, as I said, on June 4th. And yeah, you're not going to want to miss that fight. Purists, you are definitely not going to want to miss that fight. And for all of you fair weather boxing fans, you'll get a treat too if you tune in, for sure.
Yes, his nickname is beautiful, Cool Boy Steph.
Yeah, he's from Philly. He's born and raised. What is born and raised in the
That's the Fresh Prince of
Bel-Air. I'm trying to get it out.
Will Smith.
I'm almost done with my wine, so I couldn't quite get those lyrics out, but yeah. Anyway, he's born in West Philadelphia, 20-0, 8 wins coming by way of KO. He's a consummate technician, great fighter. Yes. Cool Boys Steph, as you refer to him. He's faced impressive competition while rising up the 122-pound rankings to earn the opportunity that saw him become world champion and eventually a unified champion. In his last 14 fights, the 27-year-old has beaten 8 previously undefeated fighters. After taking the title from Angelo Leo in January 2021, he edged out Brandon Figueroa in November to unify titles in one of the year's best and most action-packed fights. Trained in his hometown by coach Waleed Rahim, Fulton has displayed sublime boxing skills that have allowed him to dominate opponents of varying styles and control fights from the start to the finish. So, I mean, the guy, he's a bad boy.
And the way he speaks about how he has to apply it after the fights are over. I've watched several interviews from his past fights, and he's very clear and precise,
right,
technically, on verbalizing what he had to do to win that fight.
Yeah.
When you understand that and you're able to verbalize it, you're going to do nothing but do it. So when he sees things coming, he has a bank of information that he's going to apply to win the fight.
Right.
And when you can actually tell your audience, I did this, I had to slip this, he was coming this way, I did that, and it's something you can understand. It's not street vernacular.
Right.
It's not from another country where you really can't understand. It's very clear and very technical. And that was impressive to me also. Right. And he's never been hurt. He's never been hurt. No one has buzzed him. Right. Not once. If he has, he did a great job. When we saw Earl get buzzed, we've seen Floyd get buzzed, we've seen different people get buzzed. We know they've been buzzed. This man has not been buzzed. And Figueroa definitely was hitting him clean to do that, and it didn't happen.
Right. Well, Harold, ranked in the top 5 by the WBC, WBO, and the IBF, Roman, who's 28-3 with 1 draw, 10 wins coming by way of KO, will have a chance to regain his unified 122-pound championship status on June 4th. He's 31 years old, and he's from Los Angeles. He's won back-to-back fights, earning unanimous decision victories over former champion Juan Carlos Paeno in September of 2020 and Ricardo Espinoza Franco in May of 2021. Romans first became world champion in 2017 when he stopped Shu Kubo from the WBA title. Roman would go on to unified titles by beating TJ Dani for his IBF strap in 2019 before losing a narrow split decision to, I don't even know how to say this guy's name, Muharadong. I think we've done this before. Akamahala Delev in January of 2020.
Good job.
Yeah, man, that's not
and everything.
Yeah, bro, but those are hard names. But anyway, so that's a little bit about Daniel Roman, and he's a consummate professional, great fighter, action fighter. So this fight is going to be a great fight. And if you remember going back 3 or 4 podcasts, Harold, we talked about this fight. We talked about it. And I think we may have been on with a couple of other folks, but I remember mentioning this fight and everybody kind of scratched their head like, what? Who? What are they doing? And it was like we just kind of passed and glanced right over it. But this is a very, very, one of those fights that I'm really, really excited to see coming up. So just before we get to our final bit of discussion, I just want to say that a little brief update on the boxing schedule. We've got Wallen versus Booker on May 26th, Davis versus Romero on May 28th, Kambosos versus Hany on June 4th, Fulton versus Roman on June 4th, Inoue and Nonito Donaire, which quite honestly is, I'm like, man, that is on June 7th. And I cannot wait for that fight. I really cannot wait. And then there's a fight that's coming down the pike on June 11th, Berlanga versus Angulo. I'm not real excited about it. I think it's worth discussing because of Angulo's return to the ring. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but we'll get into that on a later podcast. And then Jamal Charlo is going to fight Solecki on June 18th. Beterbiev is going to face Smith on June 18th. And Rodriguez versus Rugaviasai on June 25th. And Harold, Ricky Hatton and Marcos Antonio Barrera are coming back on July 2nd. That's going to be worth talking about because it's more of an exhibition, but we got to give Ricky Hatton and Marcos Antonio Barrera a little love because they're coming back, right? And
that has to be on my birthday, July 2nd.
Yeah, and then Masayo and Vargas on July 9th, Harold. That's on your birthday, July 2nd?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
That's what's up.
But it's exhibition. So those guys use their names that they put together over those years,
right?
And enjoy themselves and make a little coin for it.
Yeah.
And I applaud that. But it is exhibition. It necessarily doesn't belong in boxing. It belongs in the realm of WWE.
Right.
That type of thing. It's entertainment because it's not boxing. It doesn't matter. It's just nostalgia.
Exactly.
Showing itself again.
Right.
Speaking of nostalgia, I was able to catch the Floyd fight just quickly. Floyd had a good time. It was 2-minute rounds.
Right.
He didn't sit down between the rounds. After about the fourth round, fifth round, he went ahead and he took the boy out. He went to the body. It was very easy, simple. Floyd had a great time. It was just all fun. And he didn't hurt his hands by hitting the man in the head. He just simply went to the body, and and that was that. So it was fun for him. It was easy for him, and he just had a great time. He had a great time.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's what Floyd does. Floyd gets in the ring and he has a great time. And, can't be mad at him. He knows how to monetize it. He knows how to make money off of it.
Man.
Yeah.
That was simple.
Yeah, you can listen. Floyd Mayweather knows how to monetize boxing. He knows what the fans want. He's having fun doing it. He's making boatloads of money. You gotta take your hat off to him. If you don't take your hat off to him, it's your business. But I certainly think the guy.
It's not boxing.
Yeah, man.
It's not boxing.
Well, no, it's not boxing. It's entertainment. But
right.
It's always been entertainment for Floyd. And skills pay bills. So even though it's entertainment, he still comes into the ring possessing excellent skills. So, as long as he can do that, he should do that. He should do that. People want to see him, and I think it's amazing. Oh
yeah, the skill set is still there. It's still there. All the moves, and he still has it. It's still there. It's not as quick as you would say.
Yeah,
but it's still there. He's still able to apply it. And you see everything that you saw before.
Right.
And it's just not as fast, but it's still, the step arounds, the movement, the catch and shoots, the counters, the blind counters.
Right.
Step back counters, all of that is still there. The sweeping body shots, it's all still there. Especially when he had an opponent that allowed him to paint him like a canvas,
Paint him like a canvas. I love that. Yeah. So let's get into the tale of the two Davids.
Yes.
Let's get into the tale of the two Davids. So we had this past weekend, we had David Benavidez versus David Lemieux in a, what was touted as a, it was going to be an action fight. It's going to be amazing. I certainly, went into the fight because I have great respect for David Lemieux. felt that David Lemieux is an excellent fighter before, during, and after this fight. And unfortunately, it didn't really turn out well for David Lemieux. He faced off against, undefeated David El Bandera Roja.
I can't roll my tongue.
Benavides, right? Which is the red bandana, right? Or the red flag. Is that what it is? El Bandera Roja. Yeah, it's the red flag. So he didn't disappoint, man. He came out, he did his thing in the hometown. He was out in Phoenix. He did what he had to do, and he took the fight, and he made easy work of it. Is the best way. I mean, what do you got, Harold?
Well, he did win the fight, but when he was losing some of the rounds to the other David L., if you will.
All right, Lemieux.
You could see how he could be beaten, because when he was swarming him and scoring on Benavides, he was backing straight back. He wasn't stepping to the left or the right. He was going straight back. And when you go straight back and the fighter in front of you fights on the inside and he's stepping with you, he's going to land, which David Lemieux did. He landed several times when Benavides went straight back.
Yeah.
He just couldn't stay in there to be effective. Now, if a fighter can stay in there and be effective, take advantage of the bad habit that David Benavides has of going straight back, the bad habit he has of standing straight up, of throwing his punches squared up.
Right.
He doesn't come to the left or the right to get out of the way to throw the hook. He's straight up and down like a board.
Yeah.
And he's always coming forward. He doesn't have good defense because he's not really blocking anything, and he has a cardinal mistake, as I said earlier, of backing straight up. You put a fighter who knows how to stay inside, who's going to go to the body, who's going to force him to do something other than be aggressive and throw those combinations.
Right.
He's going to have a tough time. So I saw a way for him to be beaten easily by the right fighter.
Right. So you think someone like a Canelo Alvarez or a Charlo makes easy work of David Benavides?
I'm not saying easy work. I'm saying he'll be forced to do something that we've never seen him do.
Right.
He'll be open to be scored upon easily just because of what he does.
Okay.
So I wasn't impressed at all. I mean, he just beat down a guy who's kind of past his prime, if you will, but he showed enough for us to see his vulnerability.
Yeah, well, let's get into that a little bit. So David Benavides is 26-0 with 23 KOs. Right? He basically made what I would consider easy work of David Lemieux, who's 43-5 with 36 wins coming by way of KO. Right? So from the opening bell at the very beginning of the fight, it didn't look good for David Lemieux for as far as I was concerned. I just felt that, hats off to the matchmakers. Because, I do think that it was a perfect matchup. Stylistically, it was perfect because David Lemieux comes forward. He comes forward. He comes into the pocket. He steps up in there, and he's looking to throw big bombs and punches at close range. David Benavides, on the other hand, is a sharpshooting, rangy, long fighter that really has knockout power, both with straight punches, but also with his curved punches. He also has hand speed. His hand speed is remarkable. And I think that it was, that's why I said at the beginning, kudos to the matchmakers, because they understood exactly who to put in front of David Benavides that would solidify his ability to deal with pressure fighters, right? This is a fight that shows that David Benavidez is competitive with pressure fighters. It gives David Benavidez an opportunity to fight a pressure fighter, which is what? It's all a setup for Canelo, right? So they're trying to march him down the road, I believe, to a spot where he can fight a Canelo. And, hopefully he'll get that kind of a fight. But I think that David Lemieux is I don't want to say that was his last fight, but it could possibly be his last fight in the ring. And as far as David Benavidez is concerned, he's a problem. He's a problem. He's a legitimate problem for Saul Canelo Alvarez. I can't, who's going to deal with him underneath? What have you got? Caleb Plant? Daniel Jacobs? There's nobody there. They've got to ring the phone of David Benavidez. The WBC anyway. I just don't see how that fight does it. Zach Parker for the WBO, but he's number one, ranked number one. But David Benavidez is ranked number 2 for the WBO. So I don't know. I think they're going to have to call him, and what a perfect fight as far as his handlers are concerned, meaning David Benavidez. That was a great matchup for him to perfect and get ready for a bigger fight.
Well, politically, he is in line. He is a mandatory, so he's achieved that. He should get that fight just because right now the climate of boxing is the best fighting the best. I just saw for the other fighters who you say will not threaten him, I think they saw something. I saw something. If a Daniel Jacobs or someone puts themselves together to the point where they see where his flaws are and don't allow him to get off like that, he won't get off like that on Canelo like that. He's not going to be able to just sit there and just do all that. That's not going to happen against a Canelo or anyone else. They're not going to allow that.
Right.
They're not going to allow that.
Well,
unless they get hurt to the point, but they're going to be too busy putting hurt on him. He hasn't had any hurt put on him. No one's really hit him.
Right.
He's always been able to come forward. He hasn't had to retreat. He hasn't had to hold. He hasn't had to do anything.
Yeah.
So I see a small bit of vulnerability that can be seen. The right trainer, the right fighters can see that. They can capitalize on that. And if they do get to fight, they have a strategy of success against him.
Right. Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting to watch David Benavidez climb the ladder and see how he navigates the next couple of fights. Because, but he wants the best fighters at 168 pounds. He's looking to fight whoever they put in front of him at 168 pounds, right? Caleb Plant, Jermell Charlo, David Morrell, any one of them. He'll take any one of them. Those are the guys that he's been calling out. I noticed that he hasn't called out Canelo yet, but he's calling out Jermall Charlo, by the way. He's calling out Caleb Plant, David Morrell. So those are the guys, that he wants next.
So he doesn't have to call him out because he's mandatory now. So it's good for him. He doesn't have to verbally do that anymore. He doesn't have to say anything. He is the mandatory.
Yeah.
So I believe that will eventually happen.
Yeah. I
just think that he has an opportunity to maybe fight someone before him, and whoever he's going to fight before him is going to try to use some of what they saw, and we may see a good fight on that. And he may be forced to do something else differently than what he's already done.
Right.
He just comes right to you. He's straight up and down. He's going to throw it. He's going to throw his combinations,
right.
And he's going to put power on them. And that's basically he's just so much body to hit.
Right.
And if you're a body puncher, it's all there. Especially if you get underneath what he's throwing.
Yeah.
it's open season.
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it? To get up underneath that and try to attack that from underneath. That's the challenge. I mean, you look at a guy like Mike Tyson's given him the name the Mexican Monster, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and he had that interview. He was chatting it up with Charlo, and Charlo got a little itchy in his seat about Tyson.
The accolades that Tyson was dropping on Benavidez in his presence. Yes,
exactly. He got a little itchy about that. So, I think it's interesting. I definitely, want to see more of David Benavidez. I mean, he put on an exciting fight the other night. I'd like to see him step up and fight one of the big boys. And, I'm sure they're probably talking about that as we're talking about this. So, there's more to come. Boxing news and boxing, the updates just keep on coming, man. The developments in the sport just keep on going. And we'll be back next week with another episode of the Boxing Breakdown. Want to thank you all for being with us. Harold, thank you for being on the program. Thank you for chopping it up and sharing your insight with the listeners on the Boxing Breakdown. And I am sure you are going to be off to get your glass of wine, and we will be back at it next week.
Yes, I will. Yes, we will. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Mark, once again, great topics, man. Thank you for allowing me to speak on those.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being with me, and thank you for being with the listeners of the Boxing Breakdown. And remember to hit the like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on a podcast platform, please make sure you give us positive feedback. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify. And we'll see you on the next edition of the Boxing Breakdown. Peace and love. And on behalf of Harold Hunt, I'm Mark Roxey, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace and love.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.